The war in Sudan has displaced millions, creating a growing humanitarian crisis. For Sudanese refugees trying to reach safety in Canada, the challenges don't end upon application nor arrival. Many face serious barriers to resettlement while their families remain stuck in dangerous conditions due to restrictive immigration policies. Montreal is home to a large Sudanese community, yet many families stay separated because of the limitations of Canada's IRCC program. In this interview, I speak with Mahada Ajib and Sarwa Abdulhab Saeed from the Sudanese Canadian Association of Quebec about the challenges Sudanese refugees face coming here, securing status, financial and documentation hurdles, and the difficulties of family reunification. We also discuss how their association is mobilizing in Montreal, advocating for systemic change, raising awareness, and pushing for policies that prioritize humanitarian aid and family reunification. Thank you both for being here with me today. Um, I obviously we're going to talk about what's currently going on in Sudan and specifically about the IRCC program. So I first was wondering if you could please state your name, your title, and your organization.
Thank you for having us today. I'm Salwa Abdulwahab Said. I'm the chairperson of the Sudanese Canadian Association of Quebec.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ode, for having us today. I'm Mayada Ajib, and I am the Secretary General of the Sudanese Association of Quebec.
Thank you both. So can you please introduce the organization and its history and mission, please?
Thank you. The Sudanese Canadian Association is a voluntary, non-for-profit and non-political organization. We have continued to be the only organization in Quebec able to support the community. We started as a group of activists after the revolution in 2019 and continued until today, acting through a steering committee. The association, when it started with this group, we are only working as volunteers, but now the association was founded in June 2024, registered in Montreal, and as a non-profit organization under the name Sudanese Canadian Association in Quebec. And its mission with many objectives dedicated to the social or to the socio-cultural field. Briefly, I can give a few of these objectives that gathering Sudanese people residing in Quebec in a healthy and transparent atmosphere, and encouraging cooperation and understanding between members in advancing the social values of the community and strengthening concepts of multiculturalism and cultural interactions. Also creating relationships between the Sudanese community and other communities in Quebec or in all the cities of Quebec, and helping Sudanese newcomers to enable them to adapt and intermingle in the Canadian society with the more integration and inclusion in this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Also, if can add or may I add in this for...
Yes, so I wanted to add very briefly that besides the local community efforts, we're also trying to shed some light on the humanitarian situation in the country through protests. So that's just another component of the things that we do as the association.
Thank you. Thank you both for this answer. So you just mentioned, Mayara, that you wanted to bring awareness to the humanitarian crisis that's currently happening. Could you, for people who are still unaware of it, could you briefly explain the current situation?
Yes, of course. So in April of 2023, so going on 2 years, we're 1 month short of 2 years. There was a war that erupted in my country. It's considered one of the world's worst wars in the history. It is labeled as a war between um, two factions, so the military and the militia, but it is a little bit more complicated than that. It is also considered one of the world's worst humanitarian displacement crises. It's forcing millions of people to flee their homes. Also labeled as a war where you see serious violations of international and humanitarian abuses, sexual violence, gender-based violence, systematic rape. So it is a very serious situation. There is internal displacement as well as external displacement. A lot of the Sudanese are going to neighboring countries like Egypt, and you've got Libya, you've got Chad, other countries like Ethiopia, people going down a little bit further into Uganda. And then, of course, you've got people outflowing into other countries, but the majority of displacements are within neighboring countries. And it's difficult because people are experiencing, outside of their countries, they're experiencing a lot of difficulties as well. So it's not just internal, but also once they reach these other countries, they're struggling. So it's a very serious situation right now. Another aspect I wanted to add is millions of people are facing imminent hunger, or not necessarily hunger, but famine. So this is another reality that we need to focus on. And there isn't much attention on the situation in Sudan, so we're still trying to raise awareness on that. Unfortunately, being one of the worst wars in history, it is still something that needs attention, that needs to be highlighted.
I just want to add that women and children are the most suffering, and they are being suffering much from all this during all the decades, not only this war. And I think 53 of the women in Sudan now, of the displaced persons in Sudan, are women and girls. And more than 11 million,
53%, yeah.
yeah, and more than 11 million women are at risk of gender-based violence and facing all forms of serious violations and war targeting their dignity and humanity and their bodies. All this to just to silence from their voices, and they becoming like a battle for systematic violence. I think most of these crimes are sexual violence, mass rape, gutting of pregnant women, slavery, and sex for food also, in addition to persecution of women activists. And this is all now, even this unfair courts taking this or carrying these women to this penalty.
Women are also facing a severe shortage of access to healthcare. That's a serious thing. Women and girls.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you
I
want to say
think,
something?
Mayada, if you mentioned that it is also the lack of adequate access to health care. That is 7 to 80% of country lacking this after demolishing of the healthcare facilities. And
So you've got women.
Yeah.
You've got women, for example, giving birth on under trees on the sides of places, horrible conditions. Emergency rooms, just makeshift emergency rooms. People working, heroic doctors working under worst case scenarios. They're just trying to save people. So it's a tragic situation.
Now raping is the most what women facing are also multi, I don't know how to call it, multi, that the woman can marry more than one man, because they are sharing women now and there, or I don't know what. and more to say it is only for women and this.
Thank you. I know you also mentioned in one of the protests that there's also the education system as well has been majorly affected
Yes.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so access to education has been limited. There are some locations in Sudan where there's a seemingly relative stability. So some of the more advanced institutions have been able to relocate from, for example, from Khartoum, the capital, to cities like Port Sudan, for example, or Medani. Although Medani, there was also a lack of stability, but so there have been some institutions that have been able to relocate, hence the students also relocating. But the majority of cities and towns, the schools are shut down. Also, one major problem that the students face is the ones that are looking to pass their examination from high school to get into university. They've had to go through extreme conditions to cross over to reach these areas to be able to go and write their examination. So yes, access to healthcare is jeopardized.
Now more than 20 students and children is out of school at school age.
Yeah,
They cannot
and
read.
this is not recent. This is also not just because of the war. Prior to the eruption of the war as well, they have had a lot of interruptions to their school years, especially university. I don't know, Salwa, you'd like to add to this, but a lot of the times when there is a protest and there's an uprising, education is interrupted. So a lot of university students have been waiting to graduate for quite some time, maybe since 2019, maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah. Now, nearly 2/3 of population, about 27 million, needs emergency aid and emergency help, because now we are going to have this drought season or rain season coming. They are facing famine, and everything now is under driving all these internally or externally to more and more suffering. It's not suffering, it's a crisis.
Perfect. Thank you so much for explaining what's going on. I know that you raise a lot of awareness about this during your bi-weekly protests. I was wondering, how have bi-weekly protests contributed to raising awareness and fostering solidarity? Yeah.
So the protests obviously are on a local level. So it has been a little slow on the momentum side. Slowly we see a little bit more of an audience. We're expanding, but we are persistent with the protests, and we hope that eventually it will lead to more media attention. And as a result, it would lead to our leadership here in Quebec really focusing on our struggles, and that's the end goal. But so at the moment, we are persistent every 2 weeks, approximately every 2 weeks, unless we have other events planned. We are out there and we are talking about our local struggles as well as the situation back home.
Thank you. So you just mentioned that there are other events that you organize or are part of. So apart from protests, what other initiatives has your organization undertaken to support the community?
Selva, would you like to take on this one?
Start and guess because I'm
Sure. Yeah. So other events include we had a charity event. It was a party. We invited not a local, excuse me, international Sudanese singer This was a way for the community to just revive the spirits and also to just come together in a way that makes us feel a little bit better about what's happening in our country and to raise funds. Other events, we had a Ramadan bazaar or a pre-Ramadan bazaar, and the goal of that was to raise funds to help us in sustaining our association. So this is more, the objective was more to cater towards our association. So with that, we're able to make or organize more events. We are also working currently, our committee that organizes events is working currently on potentially a Ramadan iftar for the community. And through that, we're hoping to also see if we can invite people of positions that we would like to, highlight our causes to as well. So these are the types of efforts that we're doing. So mainly focusing on just bringing the community together in a safe space, and at the same time for some of the events to combine that with fundraising initiatives.
And we are trying to work out with collaboration with various organizations to have a decision and to have some events and activities together, ensuring that we can, beyond the protest, that they can contribute with us in such programs. Yeah. The media also, now that's what we are doing now, is media and information campaigns. We are starting this either for women separately or for whole community. And this is all to come also to end with the refugee support that is there coming now. And this has been long taken with the officials. I think we did much with in collaboration with the unions, all Sudanese unions and associations in Canada, all of it. And really, all this, we need to affect or to be addressed or for what the reality of our war atrocities now we are facing, and to be addressed completely here in Canada. And also globally, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was wondering, how do you see inter-community solidarity playing a role in your advocacy work?
It plays a vital role. Actually, we are dependent. We're interdependent. I feel like we can't champion a cause without support from local associations and community activists and community mobilizers, as well as of course, organizations and maybe even political parties. So yeah, it's very important to have that inter-community solidarity as well as local Quebec presence in our causes. When it comes to other communities, we do notice support from the Palestinian community. Obviously, we're going through very similar parallel struggles, so they can empathize. But what we notice is from other communities, there is some sort of lack of awareness of the situation or a certain inability to connect with the situation in Sudan. And there are also other communities like the Congolese that are also struggling. So we hope to build bridges with other communities, and hopefully that will not only amplify our voices, but also theirs. And we can try to push forward our common goals of peace and safety for our people back home and also here locally.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd like to add to that, Salwa.
I don't know. I think it's okay, but we just concentrating to receive holistic and collective action in all these aspects, and issues to make the solidarity more strength or more. And this is all to have or to make the world looking to us and us as not a forgotten country with
Yeah.
war.
And I forgot to add, but I think also we will try to push for maybe also feminist movement attention because of what's happening in Sudan is really targeting women in a very disproportionate way. And so I think if we're able to get feminist associations to back us up, that would be great as well.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
have like a solidarity campaign starting recently, as Mayada mentioned, and to be like our voices has to be a pillar for those all here or in Sudan and all the women in the world.
Well, yeah, so the struggle of one woman kind of is the struggle of all women. So, yeah.
Thank you. You did mention that there was not a lot of like media coverage. And I know that when I talked to another Sudanese activist here in Montreal, she mentioned that the coverage kind of stopped once foreigners and I forgot the other word, but foreigners were out of the country. And I was wondering, like, how does the silence from world leaders and medias affect advocacy efforts for for the Sudanese community?
Uh,
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Salwa, go ahead.
it's okay. I guess that time we noticed that, yeah, the crisis or Sudanese war is not being addressed or didn't receive extensive coverage. And this much has been overlooked despite the severe humanitarian consequences and the situations that we discuss it now. And I think this negligence and limited coverage may stems from many factors or a combination of them. I think it is for geopolitical interest and limited journalist access or the lack of public awareness that to be addressed and the pressure of that. I think most of the people are unaware or some of them might be indifferent. So we are looking, and the international organization also resources has been focused to other crises in the world. So this is all being found to be exceptionally to our crisis being forgotten, as I mentioned. And I think we have to have direct impact on our crisis. Yeah, but if we have supporting advocacy groups from all over in media or in the communities or other people, this could be make more attention for that and to encourage independent and grassroots journalism to bring this hidden crisis to light and mobilize the social media and the traditional media to unwrap it and to underreported these issues has been continuing for long. It is not now. I think that, as Mayada mentioned, that it is from the 2003 for the war happened in Sudan.
I'd like to add to that. I just want to say that it seems more and more the trend that social media is like the way to go for these things. There's a collective awareness, I think, from the younger generation. But yeah, definitely a lack of attention from traditional media sources. And we could benefit from that, of course. Yeah.
Thank you. So I wanted to direct the conversations towards the IRCC program, and I was wondering if you could explain the current IRCC program for Sudanese refugees and the cap in place.
So the current program is we just recently had some good news. It opened up again for the second round on February 25th. And so over the past week, it's been a scramble. Everyone is trying to apply for their families. The program is designed, it's a refugee-based permanent residence pathway, and it's combined with family reunification. So only people here, the term for them is anchors. People who live here are able to bring their families, and the condition would be that they're able to support their families as anchors. The cap for the program at the moment is 1,700 applications. So it's a humble figure. When it comes to Quebec, which is our main focus, there are some shortcomings. We are able to apply. 500 of us are able to apply, but we cannot bring our families to Quebec. So the limitation is that the anchor would be in Quebec, but the family would be in any other province. More likely, I think, if people are planning on staying in Quebec, then the family is going to be in Ontario, most likely. So yeah, from our perspective, program definitely needs to be fine-tuned and to cater really to our needs. But it is a step in the right direction. And we're for now at least we're focusing on bringing our family in whatever ways we can. There are some financial obligations that not everyone is able to meet, which makes it difficult for everyone to apply. I don't know if that answered the question.
It does. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think this is also related to the silence of the media and the people and the awareness, which hinders the progress. And I think all is not, these issues, which is crucial, is not being tackled properly, maybe from the media or even from our communities to announce more and to talk about more of it. So, among many other crises in the world, I think we has been affected much by the silence of the media, and it hinders a lot of the effectiveness, and it weakens it. Of the overall thing has been very weak in progress for that.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. Do we know why Quebec is not partaking into the humanitarian pathway program, or?
I'm sure you're aware that Quebec has a restrictive immigration program, not just towards the Sudanese. It's a general program, and they're saying that Quebec doesn't have the infrastructure to bring in more people. More specifically, when it comes to the Sudanese people, we don't have an exact response really from the government as to why we're not. There's no program for us. Nothing that I'm aware of anyway. No concrete response.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. No, sorry.
From my view, I think there are many organizations and NGOs and if it is governmental or working to promote this, I think, and to give positive contributions for the refugees, even in all nationalities. And I think this has been, it would help more to reduce the xenophobia and fear surrounding the refugees. And this can give even the government that people has been aware of this, and they can accept whatever that problems or barriers about the refugees. I think we have to look at again and again in our programs.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Since the humanitarian pathway was introduced, do you know how many Sudanese families have successfully arrived in Canada?
Uh, we don't have the exact statistic, but fewer than 1,000 people have arrived in Canada.
Perfect. Um, and how do you think the provincial and federal government should address the barriers preventing Sudanese newcomers from entering Quebec?
Salwa, would you like to?
I can add little and you can continue after me. I think by working collaboratively, addressing the barriers and preventing the newcomers, particularly refugees, from entering and settle uh, uh, or reside in Quebec. This requires a multidimensional approach involving both the federal and other governments and provincial. Both levels of our government can create welcoming program and supporting environment, and not only help the refugees, as I said, it also builds their new lives here and it reaches the society as a whole in Quebec by
Yeah.
they will be intermingled in the programs, their inclusion, and their here to be integrated. I think the holistic approach that could be significant or can make a significant difference in breaking down the barriers and prevent the newcomers from accessing, which prevents these barriers, all preventing newcomers from being now and their families also to be, and they deserve more. As I mentioned few that all organization and NGOs, they are now working together to have this being addressed more. I think is what I can add.
I
Enjoy.
think I think it's a little bit more effective from a bottom-up approach as opposed to federal to province. So I think we need to put the accent on local associations. We need to communicate and interact more with our local MPs, and then build our way up towards that. Because it seems that from the other way around, it's not having much of an impact, honestly. Quebec has a really rigid immigration program, so it's going to be a little bit tough to break through that unless we're doing it the other way around from a grassroots level.
Thank you. I know that your organization had launched a campaign, if I can say, for
Mhm.
people to send emails to Mark Miller about the issue of the IRCC program. And I was wondering, that in the document that was to be attached to the email, you did mention that the organization had noticed a lot of disparities in how Sudanese refugees trying to come here were treated compared to other refugee groups. Could you talk a little bit about that? Maybe some disparities that you've noticed?
It's hard not to notice the disparities, to be honest with you. They're significant. It's really hard to even draw parallels when you look at the situation sometime back with the Syrians. The program was very streamlined. Everything was done very efficiently. When you compare the numbers of people coming, very different. It's actually night and day. When you look at the Ukrainian program as well, there's really no comparison at all. We don't even scratch the surface. There were mechanisms put in place. There were even programs that allowed locals to sponsor some of the people coming in seeking asylum. So yeah, I mean it's hard not to notice the disparities. I think that there's quite a lot more work that needs to be done in terms of catering to our people and making it a little bit more of a program that is representative to not representative. It's more what would the word be, that's more proportional to the size of the problem. It is the world's largest humanitarian displacement. And I mean, we're looking at a program that brings in 17,000 people, 1,700 people, 1,700. So there's a lack of disproportionality, and I feel like a lot more can be done, honestly. Yeah, Salwa, if you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, as you said everything, but if we can say that compared to other countries, this Sudanese being treated, and this emphasizes the discrimination clearly, that our
Yeah,
refugees receive extensive, they are not receiving extensive support, and this is including the extended processing and resettlement programs, community assistance. They don't have all these, and while they are facing complicated issues more than, I think, whatever been. This is all coming from the strict policies.
policies.
To long way to يعني to wait long for long, or even being rejected. I think this is different. Those differences يعني influenced by factors like I said, political alliance, media narratives, racial or religious biases, and economic considerations. We don't have all of this combined really affected our or Sudanese refugees significantly
Yeah.
or much.
Thank you both for your answers. So we we just mentioned the some part of the lack of support that's being given to Sudanese refugees, and I was wondering what specific barriers have people faced when applying for the IRCC program.
One of the bigger ones, the bigger barriers, is the financial requirements. They're really, it's difficult conditions for a lot of people to be able to fulfill. So right away, you've got a lot of people just excluded basically from being able to apply. Other barriers is the ability for the applicants, the people that we're bringing in, to be able to fulfill the when I say requirements, I mean, for example, the paperwork. So we're looking at, for example, people who left their homes, they fled their homes and don't have their passports or any other documentation with them. So that's a significant challenge for people to be able to get access to the documentation that they either left back home or never had to start off with. Facilities in the country are limited, government facilities. So if someone wants to apply for a passport, for example, they have to relocate to a different area, which is not necessarily easy. They have to have money to be able to do that as well. So there are things that could maybe be more considerate of people's local situation. I think there's some sort of leeway. People are able to explain why they lack certain documentation, but it's left to the judgment of the officer that is treating the application. So, yeah, I think the main challenges, as far as I could tell, is for the anchor, it's the financial requirements, and for the applicant, it is just being able to collect their documentation and submit it in a timely manner.
And extended processing is also
Extended
the limiting
processing.
factors are many, but this is the most important: financial and extended processing time.
And with regards to processing time, there is a heartbreaking story of a person who applied for a family member, and the person passed away, unfortunately, before having to, while waiting for the application to be approved. So that kind
Many
of
cases
raises
of
the
such.
level of anxiety. It makes us all very anxious and paranoid about maybe that being a possibility for us too and our loved ones. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, I was wondering, Mayada, at the protest, you mentioned another program to help newcomers and the Sudanese community. Could you and Salwa talk a little bit about that?
There are other programs I don't have that much information on, but there are programs that are you can sponsor a family through. It's called the Five. So if a group of five individuals agree, they can sponsor a person. There's refugee pathways, although they're difficult for people to apply through, and then they're limited in number. There is the ability to apply to come to Canada through work, like a work permit or a work visa, so it can be sponsored by a company to come. Although I think other communities are benefiting from such programs a little bit more than the Sudanese. So, like for example, people from, I would say, the Middle East benefit from that in a better way. So those are the programs, but I think the majority of us are depending on this pathway of family reunification and potential permanent residence for our family. Yeah, Salwa, I don't know if you'd like to add to that.
Okay, it's okay.
Thank you. And I did want to go back to something you mentioned earlier when you talked about, because I know there's a big Sudanese community in Montreal.
Yes.
And I know that earlier you mentioned that again, like um, they cannot reside. Well, people trying to come here right now cannot reside in Quebec, and will often have to go in Ontario. And I was wondering about the specific experience of that, like not being able to. Uh, I forgot the word in English, but not being able to necessarily have your family come here.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work in terms of support? Having a family member, first of all, that's a refugee being in another part of like Canada, right? Like you need to support them and everything. So how does that work exactly?
I'll give you the answer to that from a personal perspective. So, as you know, it was only through the second round of applications that Quebec anchors are able to apply. So the first time around, we didn't have access to the program.
Mm,
And so the application just started last Tuesday. And so we don't really have tangible experience as to how, the practicality and logistics of things. We're going to find out in the coming months. But from a personal perspective, I'm already thinking of other possibilities of maybe having to relocate from Quebec. And it's unfortunate because my family has been here since 1997, and we've only been here. We've never left Quebec. We were fairly content with our with living here, but just seeing how there's a drastic shift in our policies and on sort of like a more hostile environment. So I think where our perspectives are shifting now, and my family and I are considering the possibility of going to Ontario. It's not going to be easy to live in one place and have to support newcomers, people who would need to learn the language, people who would need to figure out everything that's in relation to relocating. You need to be there physically present with them to be able to get them through things, from things as basic as opening a bank account to registering their children in school to communicating with other individuals to finding ways to get maybe support from organizations. There's so many things involved. We haven't even opened up that can of worms yet, but it's not an easy thing to even look at and plan to organize. But yeah, there is that possibility, and it's a heavy possibility that's weighing on having to us also relocate. Yeah, and that's going to be the case for a lot of people, I think,
mm.
which is unfortunate because we consider ourselves Quebecers. So
Thank you. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Salwa.
We just to say that we are looking for everybody to help with this from leaders, from the global society, from everyone to go or to find with us or to stand with people in all this, requesting support and advocating for humanitarian aid or relief for Sudan. This needs a lot of efforts in all aspects, political, humanitarian, and I think most now looking for working on this from all, as I said, or I mentioned that NGOs and all the UN are working, but still I think this is very limited now. And I'm looking in the possibility of working together with all people that can help here or everywhere, and to mobilize this in the media much, and to advocate for people and to help and to carry with them our efforts much. And I think this is to be to all for the purpose the purposes, many purposes, but mainly to address our forgotten war and our problem. And I just want to thank you for your time and your consideration and commitment for our crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shawa. I did have a question, but you kind of answered it a little bit. But I did want to. I was wondering, what were the next steps for your organization in advocating for Sudanese newcomers and family reunification?
Oh, yeah. I had a lot to say on this, but I can just say little and leave it for Mayada. Sorry, and I interrupt that thing before. Already we are started our efforts since the revolution, even before the war, to help our people inside. And I think for now, for the reunification and for the newcomers, we already worked hard for long during the last year in collaboration with the other Sudanese Community Association in Canada under the umbrella of the Associations Union to advocate for the reunification of Sudanese people. I think many officials has been met, and even as you mentioned before, that the minister or ever other officials in even in Ottawa or Quebec or everywhere we met. I think Mayada can add on this that to all this to have a response to receive it from them.
What are our next steps in advocating?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are your organization's next steps in advocating for Sudanese newcomers and family reunification?
Okay. So as Selwa had mentioned, there's effort from the she mentioned the umbrella of the association. So we're all coming together to put pressures on our different provinces, and the team in Ottawa is working very, very hard in advocating for our collective struggles. I know that other provinces have larger communities than the one that we have here in Quebec, and where our association is also relatively young. So we have a little bit more work to do. We're going to continue to have discussions with our MPs. That's the main objective, to make sure that they are aware of our cause, which I'm sure they are, but make sure that we, especially with the elections coming up, that we're vocalizing that to them. And we are clearly stating what we need from our local governments, and then waiting to see how that works in terms of flowing up the ladder. As you know, things anytime there's any politics involved, it's a little bit lengthy, and there's a lot of frustrations within the process. But yeah, that's our main goal. We're going to also continue our protests. That's not going to come to a stop because the program of reunification opened. Actually, we still have a few more things that we need to work on. So we will continue raising awareness on the humanitarian problem. We'll continue to raise awareness on our local struggles as a Sudanese community in Quebec that feels marginalized, that feels unheard, that feels that a lot more can be done in terms of incorporating our people within the community here in Quebec. We're going to also try to push for something to allow us to reunite with the people that we do bring into Canada, to see if there's any possibilities for them to be able to come here into Quebec. So there's a lot of things going forward, but we won't stop. It's going to be an uphill battle. We recognize that, but there's no we're not slowing down.
Thank you. I was wondering, how can individuals and other communities in Montreal support your efforts?
Uh,
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. Now we are looking for support from everyone by volunteering and participating and through networking. Yeah, we are now as a committee or as association looking to set up a short and long-term engagement plan to create inclusive and supporting environment for all members and encourage everyone to take an active role in building a stronger community together with the other, communities, different communities, to in inclusion, integration, and looking into other governmental support. We already met some NGOs and organizations, and this support is really different in its aspects. Mayada can go on that.
Yes, so community support, local association support. There are people who have a tested and tried system, and we can definitely benefit from their experience. So collaboration on that level would be great. Media, media support is always something that we need. In terms of from volunteers, we need people to join us in the protest. We need people to help us in spreading the message. We need people to assist us in finding ways to fundraise, not only for the situation in Sudan, but also to help us fundraise in setting up different projects on a maybe larger scale here for our local community. So yes, we do need volunteers to help us spread the message, but also people to collaborate with us, to support us in ways that in things that we lack experience in.
Well, we are knocking in every door through the legalized channels to engage with the local government on the key issues and support policies and projects that benefit our community, and advocate much for our association and community problems and issues in general, and Sudanese in general.
And also, if there are programs. Go ahead. Sorry.
Not only our community, we are working with or collaborating with other communities.
Mm-hmm. If there are also funding programs, grants, things along those lines, that would also be something that we would benefit from.
Perfect. Thank you. And last question. I was wondering if there is anything I did not ask about that you would like to discuss or add about the issue, or your work, or anything. Yeah.
No, nothing on my end. Salwa?
This is what I mentioned before, that requesting support in
Advocating.
advocating for we are kindly request your support, first audit, and support in advocating for our humanitarian relief for Sudan and for our refugees here. Both they are working, they are working concurrently. We have to advocate here and there. And I think this is our people now need much and looking for the possibility of the relief from this situation. So we are kindly asking you to advocate and working together to address this issue to be announced much or to be looking much and to be forgotten globally and locally. Thank you.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to just add a little plug in there. If it's possible to follow our social media platforms, that would be a great way to better engage with us and also just to keep yourself updated on what it is that we are doing and what it is that we need as well. So you can follow us on mainly Instagram, X, Facebook, and we can be found under ASCQC, which is the Association Soudanaise Canadienne du Québec, and in English it would be the SCQC, which is the Sudanese Canadian Association of Quebec.
We are delighted for your time and consideration and commitment to the well-being for our Sudanese people.
We definitely appreciate it. Thank you for highlighting our cause, Ode.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for taking the time to talk with me, obviously, today. I know you're very busy, and I know, obviously, you must have been very, how can I say, seeked. Your organization has been seeked to, for people to talk to. And I know you've had so many events happening in the past few weeks. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.